Okay, I'm streaming. Give us your deep, dark secrets.
Okay, welcome everybody. Um, I should name this podcast something else, but to the Infamous Storytellers podcast.
Welcome to
Um,
story time.
with Elmo. No. Uh, we're gonna get right into it. Joe will put everything up. So we're in
Everything is
chapter
up.
21, washed out,
Yep,
washed out, dry washout. There we go. My little cemetery.
we're cooked. We're washed.
Go ahead, Joe.
All
It's a
right,
wash.
chapter 21. Dry wash out. I stuck around my truck until daybreak. Nothing happened, and luckily for me, this was the first night of two, so I hadn't fallen asleep. But I needed to get moving if I wanted to be somewhere safe when sleep would eventually take me. So I walked out of the box canyon and called the service truck to bring me 4 new tires. The tech came and started working on swapping out the tires. He was in his 50s, quite overweight, but strong. How'd you pop all it? Okay, he's. How'd you pop all 4 of them? You're so big.
Okay,
I don't think
Joe.
he's not
Come
that
on.
big.
Come on. Really?
Oh, I'm
No, keep going, Joe. I'm digging it.
so huge.
No, no, no.
Oh, I'm at least 500 pounds of fat and muscle. Oh. How'd you pop all 4 of them? He asked, looking at the truck. You know, big guys don't have to actually have deep voices. How'd you pop all 4
I know
of them?
that.
He asked, looking at the truck. I didn't. I responded, scanning the canyon around us. No. He looked at me, pulling out a jack and a couple of jack stands. I parked it and walked up the canyon. When I got back, all 4 were deflated. My personal headcanon is that the tech is actually the killer, and he pops people's tires so they can call him out so he can fix them for money. Huh. No one really comes up this canyon anymore. It washes out so much it's too unpredictable. Last year I got a call that a group of climbers were stranded after parking up here. They spent the night and it must have rained, 'cause when they packed up and came back to their car, the road had washed out. The county had to bring a bobcat and a dozer to patch the road before we could get 'em out. Interesting. How many times in the past year has it washed out? I said, still looking about the canyon. The man was under my truck using a drill to quickly raise his jack. Raise. It's fun.
Raise.
Raise. Like the raise you used was like
You
burning
raise
ground.
me up. Yes.
Burnt ground, like leveling.
Burnt Earth Tactics.
Yes.
RAIC. Raise.
AIC.
The
Five this year.
Ah.
They got tired of fixing it, so they put that washed out road sign on the entrance. It looks like it was knocked over. Explains why I didn't see it. This was definitely the right place. The mechanic replaced my tires quickly. I was counting out hundreds to pay for the service when we heard the sound of steel cutting into earth echoing softly down the canyon. Heard the sound of steel cutting into earth, like a shovel? I don't know. You see anyone else up here? You see anyone else up here? He asked as I handed him the cash. 2 more distinct shoveling sounds drifted up to us. I didn't like it. I wasn't sure what I was dealing with. Whatever it was seemed to have made its way below us. No, I said after a moment. Someone cut your tires, the man said after another barely perceptible sound of digging. People have gone missing. He said that last part to himself. You want to follow me back down? I'm not saying it's anything, but to be honest, this canyon just don't feel right. Yeah, I replied. Don't get too far ahead of me. I don't think it's water that's been washing out the canyon. Doesn't seem like it. The man looked down the canyon. The new tires felt good on the hard-packed dirt road. Lots of traction. So much. We wound our way slowly down the canyon until we reached another washout. It was, of course, dry. I got out. The technician did as well. I didn't miss the handgun tucked between his seat and center console. The side of the road had been carved out at a narrow point of the road. A few clear shovel marks, but the dirt behind had been broken down into fine grains. I looked at the man. You think your truck will fit? No, but yours might, if we kick the dirt back in place. I have a shovel. We can build up and span the gap with my four-wheeler ramp. He looked around. I did the same, but there was nothing to see. Little did this man know that this was his last day on Earth.
Wow.
No, that's
Way to
not,
spoil
that's
it.
not in the book. That's just
Spoiler.
narrator speculation. He seems too happy, jolly, and fat to survive. No,
Oh,
go
so
without
because he's
me.
fat, happy, jolly,
Go
and
without me, I'm
everything,
too
he has
fat
to
and
die.
happy. We switched out the order of our trucks and started building the road back up. As we worked, the sound of shoveling resumed further down the canyon. We looked at each other, sweat dripping, covered in the dry dirt. We should probably walk down there. If we dig out this one, we'll just have to stop again when we get to the next. If my hunch is right, they're digging on that thin bend half a mile down. If they cut through that, neither of our trucks are going to make it out. I was trying to get him off the mountain without having to deal with whatever this was, but that didn't seem to be the option. I'll grab my guns and pack. I guess we're walking. I don't want to, but I think you're right. The man walked back to his truck and retrieved his own handgun and a bottle of Gatorade. This episode is not sponsored by Gatorade, but Gatorade, call us if you'd like to be. You know, with all this huge traffic we're getting in Visit. He looked at me when I came walking back, shotgun slung over my shoulder, my AR-10 in my hands. When we got close to the narrow bend, the shoveling stopped. The only sign that anyone was there, when we turned the corner, was freshly dug dirt, not at all broken down to fine grains. The gap was not enough to prevent my truck from navigating the narrow corner, but it wouldn't take much more digging to stop it. If you want, fat guy. If you want, one of us can go back and get your truck. The other can hold the road here and keep whoever from finishing. Won't stop him from digging somewhere else down the canyon, but we could probably get down before they're able to cut. Give me a second. But we could probably get down before
Poor
they're
guy's
able
having
to
a stroke.
cut through another section road. Is my smile symmetrical?
Oh, raise your arms.
What arms?
Oh, great.
What's an arm?
He must have been a
I've
survivor of Nom.
Heard it. My name's Bames Johns.
You're perfectly healthy.
Bames Johns is having a stroke. No, I stated. We should just walk out. Whoever it is, it's trying to kill us. Splitting up will just get one or both of us killed. Doing this would likely mean I'd need to get Chris involved, but splitting up would likely get the technician killed. Did we know that the technician was named Chris?
Chris is his informant friend.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, right. I thought you were...
Jeez, Joe, come on. Even I knew that.
My bad. I'm just the narrator. That doesn't mean I remember things.
Yeah, you're just a voice in my head right now.
Boo.
That sounded really impersonal. Oh my goodness, that's so scary.
We came across one more spot that had been dug. A bleached leather glove. A bleached leather glove.
As an L.
I know it does. I just didn't see it with my tongue.
It's
Yeah,
a
that-
govel.
A bleached leather glove lay
gove.
discarded near the freshly turned soil. But it must have been there a while, because when I kicked it over there were a few long rectangular worms that had taken refuge beneath the glove.
No, that's just a Rocky Mountain horror getting ready to eat you.
I can collect your pennies and I'm gonna get you. There was no other sign of life the entire time we walked down the ravine. I even pulled out my thermal monocular, but only picked out birds from the brush. As we reached the end of the canyon, the sound of digging commenced far up behind us. I was starting to get tired, but whatever it was close. The man was calling the county cops on the phone. I'm telling you, Jonah. Oh, like Jonah?
Yeah.
Jonah.
Like Jonah and the whale.
I don't think Jonah has two N's. That'd be Jonah. Someone's been digging out the road to Balsam Hollow. It's spooky as hell and no sight of anyone, whoever they are. They're back up there digging. We must have walked past them at some point. I don't know how. The canyon is too narrow to hide. Okay, we'll be here at the base of the mountain. See you soon. He turned to me. I was still staring at the mountain behind us. My cop buddy's gonna come pick us up. I don't know when he'll get the trucks out, but I think they're going to search the mountain again, this time with dogs. I don't want to say it, but that rumored serial killer might be the one who's been causing the washouts. You were lucky. Boy, this was going to be a mess when Chris got my text. I began digging into my pack looking for my bottled skunk musk. What are you doing? The mechanic asked. Look, I was going to come back in a day and try to deal with this then, but I called you and now the local officers are going to get in over their heads. I paused. It was always hard to try to explain my reality to people. I'm a government contractor. I pulled out Chris's business card from my wallet. He could sort this out better than I could. Give this to your cop friend. This is my project manager. He's with the FBI. Now that you're mostly safe, I'd better go back and deal with it. The man looked at me. You seemed a little off to me. So you're already after this serial killer? Where are you, this serial killer?
Bang.
He didn't say that. I pulled out the musk and said, maybe I'm the serial killer. I pulled out the musk and started to shove my equipment back in my pack. Yep. Take my shotgun. I'm gonna have to climb this mountain. This pack and rifle are heavy enough. I'll come pick it up at the police station when I'm done. I began to apply the skunk musk. If whatever it was could smell, I didn't want it catching my scent on the way back up. My pennies! No! Not again! I needed to sew the hole in my pocket. I was dropping pennies everywhere.
Well, that was the joke, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That was a joke.
that was the joke. Looping far to the left, I trudged up the side of the mountain. I watched as a police SUV came down the empty road and picked up the technician far below me. They watched me for a bit, but soon lost interest and left. That's the most unrealistic part of this book so far. I wondered if the officer called Chris. One thing I was sure of, I wouldn't be picking up my shotgun until Chris called the department and gave me the go-ahead. After hours of hiking, I crawled and looked over the edge of the canyon, trying to find whoever or whatever was responsible for collapsing the road. Pulling out my rifle, I scanned the trail far below with my scope. For the next 3 hours, as the sun set, I crawled along the ridge and scanned the darkening canyon below. Just as the sun was touching the horizon, as the first waves of deep exhaustion set in, warning me I didn't have much more time before my predictable narcoleptic sleep would set in, something slipped from the shadow in the canyon below. It walked jerkily to where my truck was parked. The distance was far and dark, but I could see the figure was wearing a thick flannel shirt, jeans, and a wide-brimmed hat with some sort of cloth wrapped around its face. I don't know where he'd come from. A cave, perhaps? The canyon walls were steep, floor bare. Unless he'd been sitting under a bush the whole time, I would have seen him approach from either side of the canyon. He couldn't have been in a bush because I had scanned them with my thermal. Unless thermals didn't work on the creature. I dug into my pack, pulling out my thermal monocular, focusing it on the person who was now on their knees digging at the road, making its way towards the front of my truck. Despite the distance, the person glowed red through my optic. Wherever they had hidden, it was a good spot.
And it could have just been under a plastic bag. Like,
Yeah.
it's actually not that hard to defeat thermal.
I got you. When I see
As long as you're
monocular,
behind something.
I'm just imagining him pulling out a monocle with a
Oh,
scope.
it's a
on it.
monocular.
It's
It's like a rangefinder.
yeah, but
except
it's got like
yeah.
a bougie chain attached to it that connects to his
Gold
coat.
chain.
Yep.
Yeah.
His monocular.
Let me grab my monocular.
Oh,
Oh, spiffing chop.
is.
Guys, that's awful.
I feel like. What do you mean?
I mean, does that need to be translated?
Monocular. Monocular.
Don't you know what a monocular is?
It's like in
No, it's
Doobie.
awful as how long it took you to come up with monocular.
What do you mean?
It's an actual
We've been
word.
reading it. It's been in this story.
Yeah, that's like the fourth time
Enunciation
I've
has
read
not
it.
always been present. Okay,
Monocular.
Monocular. My enunciation
Monocular.
by not monocular. Pulling down my thermal monocular. It took me less time than normal to set up my shot. It was the threat of falling asleep on the ridge and having the person find me. Oh no! He's gonna take my pennies. I'm getting fined.
Oh my gosh.
I fixed it, don't worry. In the next 12 hours, that rushed me. I didn't know for certain that the person below me was the killer. Perhaps it was some farm kid who was pulling a prank on whoever went up the canyon. 20 to 15% chance that was the case. In my line of work, those kids were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, you needed to follow your gut. My gut was telling me the person below wanted me dead and was likely responsible for the many bodies in the oval further up the canyon. But my gut had been wrong before. Grace said as much. In the end, I decided to hell with the consequences, giving in to my gut, and slipped down the other side of the canyon, slowly creeping down the steep slope, within 600 yards of the digging figure. The sun was now fully set, the horizon barely giving off enough light for me to identify the hunched-over figure spastically digging around the front tire of my truck. Crack! Crack, crack! I let 3 rounds fly. The thing paused as it's digging, turning. The thing paused its digging, turning to look up at me, then collapsed to the ground. Crack, crack. I put more 2 rounds into the center mouse, the mouse in the suit, the center mass, before slinging my rifle over my shoulder. I needed to get off this mountain as fast as possible. I was going to fall asleep, and there's nothing I could do to prevent it. Normally I'd check, make sure the monster was dead, then hunker down in my truck, but climbing down the 600 almost vertical inner face of the canyon in the dark was not going to happen. I would need to walk all the way around and back up the canyon road. That'd take hours. If I was fast, I could run to the ridge line down in the wheat fields below and maybe hole up in one of the barns at the base of the mountain. When I reached the peak of the mountain, I pulled out my monocular and looked for the dead man. I wanted to make sure it was dead. Nothing. No heat signature whatsoever. Surely it hadn't cooled in the 10 minutes it'd take me to climb back up the ridge. I scanned for 30 more seconds. The only red image I picked up was a large dot the size of my fist, slowly scooting away from the direction of my truck. Likely some sort of small mammal. A vole, probably. Narrator's spidey senses are tingling. Throwing my thermal back in my pack, switching to my night vision, I hurried down the crest of the mountain. Halfway down the mountain, blackness washed over me. My body slowed, and I crouched, settling down on the rough mountain side. As my body gave up, giving into sleep. That's the end of chapter 21. That's a good one. I'm excited. built up
Well,
some.
any thoughts?
I'm so sorry to hear that the car mechanic and the police officer died. It's a bummer.
It's very sad.
I'm so sorry
Joe's like,
that they're
Joe
That
dead.
they
is
died
not
and were the serial
anticipating that
killer.
in any way, shape,
It's
or
really
form.
unfortunately that they were both the serial killer and killed each other.
It's really stabbing each other.
Really redundant.
Yeah, Joe's just really struggling with
Are you
with that
sleepy,
grief.
Joe?
He's struggling today. It's okay.
He's
He can make
broken
it through
out.
this.
It's been
He can do this.
It's been a week, let me tell you.
It's
It-
maybe after.
Maybe after. I told Brandon already, but we can get more into it after.
Okay.
Chapter
Yeah.
22, Falling. Suddenly I woke to the sensation of falling. I was rolling down the side of the mountain. My NVGs were gone. Likely ripped away when I tumbled. Likely. Not likely. Likely ripped away as I tumbled. I squirmed, flailing my arms and legs, doing everything I could to bring myself to a stop. Colliding with a stiff bush slowed me enough to gain control of the fall. I was able to bring myself to a rough stop.
Yeah,
How had
no,
I messed
need to
up so
work on
badly?
Some of those sentences.
There
Go ahead.
hadn't. But what's up?
Sorry.
Mr.
Nothing.
Story
I'm
right
just
now.
ruining the podcast.
No,
Keep going.
Mr. Storywriter, please, say more words.
Is this one of those?
Stiff
I'm sorry.
push.
Is the middle of my sentence interrupting the beginning of yours?
Slowed me. Yeah, right now. Slowed me enough to get.
Colliding with a stiff bush, not a soft bush, not a squishy bush, a stiff bush, slowed me enough to gain control of the fall. I was able to bring myself to a rough stop. How had I messed up so badly? There hadn't been a cliff nearly this steep where I'd given in to sleep. It was then when I saw the figure looking down on me from the oval ridge above. Dang it. It looked like a scarecrow, called it in my head, dressed in a tattered flannel button down the shirt, torn blue jeans, and a wide brim hat. One black eye socket peered. What's up?
You think it's a scarecrow? You thought it was a scarecrow?
I thought
Is that
it
what
was
you're
a
saying?
scarecrow when you described flannel shirt earlier. Like I didn't
Okay,
know
yeah.
for sure. Like
And then
who you were
the glove, right? The missing glove that he
Oh,
turned over.
the glove with the worms.
With the worms, yeah.
Yeah, we all know scarecrows wear gloves with worms.
Anyway, go on.
It looked like a scarecrow. It wasn't a scarecrow. It scared people.
It was to scare people.
It was a scare people. One black eye socket peered down at me through a rat-bitten hole in the weathered T-shirt that was tied over the creature's head. It jerkily began climbing its way down the steep inner face of the canyon. I was stunned for a moment. Something that uncoordinated should not be able to make its way down to me so quickly. I hate functionally jarring. That's actually really unsettling.
Yeah.
I slipped, letting my body slide closer to the black hole beneath so I could grab a protruding bush. Grabbing it, I fished under my arm for my 1911 just as the creature reached me. It pulled an old hand scythe from the missing buttons in the middle of its flannel shirt. The scythe bit into the back of my Kevlar jacket as I shoved my 1911 at the scarecrow. Bits of carcass splattered me with each trigger pull. Bang, 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 bang. That's not how I should read that.
Bang, 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 bang.
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 Bang, bang, bang is how you should read it. And then
Bang,
everyone
bang,
who knows
bang.
the
Ring, ring,
insight
ring,
on
ring,
that
ding,
song,
ding, ding, ding,
No,
ding.
it's four bangs
different song.
and then the
Different. don't conflate those.
Bang, bang, bang. Shout out to the few people who actually know what I'm talking about.
Shout out to Bang, Bang, Bang.
Yes.
Actually, it's Big Bang. Actually, Big Bang.
Okay. Ooh, I read ahead. Bang, 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 bang. I wish I had a sound effect button That would do it more
Yeah,
justice.
you need a gunshot
I need just
button.
to
Just whip out my handy dandy Desert Eagle.
pew 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 pew.
Yeah, Joe goes, give me a second. He
Give me
goes,
a
grabs a
second.
gun from his
I don't
closet.
have I don't have blanks, but this.
Well,
No.
blanks would still get the cops called on you.
I know, but it wouldn't put holes in my I wouldn't lose the deposit necessarily.
It wouldn't violate my terms of lease.
It would lower the housing costs of the area, and I'd keep my deposit.
Officer, it was the scarecrow.
It was a scarecrow. Look, it's in the book.
Yeah, that's gonna go over well in court.
Yeah, I'll plead insanity. It'll work out.
It will not work out.
Okay, bang, 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 bang.
Good job. I walked my rounds up its chest, the last one finding a place in its neck. The creature lost grip of the mountainside and fell down through the darkness. 3 long moments, and I heard the hard impact and a snap of bones on hard gravel. Something was crawling on me. Many somethings. I was unlucky enough to have fallen into a nest of some sort of grub. Ugh. I resisted the urge to discard my gun. Instead, I slid it back in its holster, then began beating and slapping at the worm-like creatures that were crawling over my body and around and down my neck. They bit and thrashed, tearing my flesh. I didn't stop until I either killed or knocked them all off. Slowly, gently, I climbed up and out of the oval on the cliffside. It wasn't until I was on top of the oval looking back over the edge that I realized where I was. I was over the mass grave at the top of the canyon, where all the gravel had been piled to hide those bodies. I must have been dragged or carried across the mountain. It had tossed me in with the rest of its dead. The scarecrow's body was only half intact when I got to it. A mass of broken bones was all that was left of the lower half, but that's not what disturbed me. It was the mass of long rectangular worms. They were wrapped all around the upper skeleton of a dead man's remains. Adhering together, they jerkily made the skeleton crawl, hand over hand, towards the back of the canyon. Oh no! It was the worms! It was the worms the whole time! Ew. I love that! I hate it! Thanks, I hate that! Ooh. I think the little buggers could feel the earth move as I approached because they abandoned making the skeleton crawl and swarmed around its head, encasing the skull in a tight throng, their bodies somehow lightly binding into one another. I kicked the living...
Tightly binding.
Somehow tightly binding to one another. Lightly blinding to one another. I kicked the living flesh ball lightly. Ugh. Some of the maggot swarm things fell off, but the majority were fused so tightly together it was like kicking a solid rubber ball. A slight tremor of revulsion traveled up my spine. Those were the little buggers that had been crawling all over me. My first thought was to smash the loose worms with rocks, but seeing that they were determined to join their brothers, I simply waited until all the ones that could crawled over and attached themselves to the mass. After that, I kicked it back to my truck.
Wow.
The ball would grab at and adhere to the gravel, so I kept it from rolling over anything too solid. That's just an insane visual. Back at my truck, I pulled out Rudy's big plastic bowl and flopped the mass onto it, then grabbed my gas can.
Oh.
Predictably, the worms began to break away and scatter as I splashed them with the gasoline. I lit the mass with a flick from a cardboard match. The little worms hissed and popped, writhing. Hissed. There's actually no T in hissed. Isn't that crazy?
But there is a T in
I knew the Vol thing was the thing. Something deep within
Keep reading.
Sorry, spoilers. Move. Something deep within the mass began to shriek like a wounded bird. The mass slowly burned and shriveled, revealing the worn skull. A large larva. Why do you tongue-tie? Stop tongue-tying. A large larva.
I'm a master of poetry.
A large larva lovingly licked its luscious lavender lollipops.
Ew. Why
Ugh.
would you? No. Take that back. Take it back.
I miss my
What's-
innocence from
it's
10
been
seconds
said.
ago.
Canon.
It's been said. I can't.
Brandon
the curse has been
speaks for
spoken.
us all. The curse has been spoken.
A large larva, grubby-looking thing pushed its way out of the eye socket, spilling and flopping onto the ground.
Adam, why did you?
Why did he write this? For our
Why?
enjoyment. Are you not entertained?
Are you not
Yes.
entertained?
Let me keep reading about this giant larva thingy. It was fat and about the size of a foam football, charred and black in places, its original color a pinkish gray. It tried to inch away from me, still shrieking, big black bulbous eye above its tiny mouth looking at me as it fled. After taking a couple of pictures with my disposable camera, I'm just imagining you took like a selfie one, like doing a Mr. Beast, like, you won't believe what I
Believe
found
what
in
I
the desert.
Did a scarecrow kill all those people, or was it something else?
Was it something else? Wait till the end of the movie to find out more. Documenting the creature for future reference, I hope I wouldn't need. I dumped more gasoline on the larva creature and relit the fire. I pushed the floundering mass back in its charred minions and began piling dead branches, getting the fire as hot as possible to ensure a complete burn. I would need to get Chris down here with the team to search for every little worm. Whatever this was, we didn't need any more of them.
Correct.
My phone buzzed. I flicked it open. Yeah, we're gonna use a phone! Hello?
Anthony,
The voice was on the other side was urgent.
where are you?
It was Chris. Utah. Why?
That's what Grace said.
There was a pause.
The Rocky Mountain Horror. It's moving south. 3 bodies have been found hanging in trees. We got a frame on it. We got a frame of it on satellite last night, just about to cross the Utah border. We think it's caught your scent.
Chest hollow, I crouched down in a squat.
Anthony, are you there?
Chris was urgently asking. I spit out bile. Yes.
Get out of there. It should go back to its mountain range once it loses your scent. Distance, son, make distance.
My truck's stuck. It's gonna take me a while to get out. Probably all day. Was that enough time?
I'll see if I can convince them to send us chopper. Don't count on it. After the last encounter, they placed a no-contact order. If Hellfires can't kill it, they don't think anything can.
Yeah, I know. I said, running over to the technician's truck to see what tools I had to work with, trying to push away the terror that was trying to consume me. Over the next 4 hours, I shoveled and dug, cut dozens of branches, doing all that I could to build up the earth that the warm mass had broken out to fine dust. After building up the road, weaving bush and limbs onto the brush and limbs on the loose soil. Loose.
Into the loose soil.
Into the loose. L-O-O. There's an E at the end of that. Into the loose.
No,
Why
no,
is
there's
that
not.
funny? There is.
No,
There's a sign
there's supposed to be.
I laid down the four-wheeler ramps that were on the back of the technician's truck. I pulled forward, four-wheel drive engaged. I tore over the loose slanted road, tire spun, my truck's back end sliding to the left. Then the front tires caught the other side and I was pulled past the washout. I flew down the canyon as fast as I could. The only thought on my mind was putting distance between me and the thing that wanted to strip my skin as I dangled alive. Forget my pack. Forget trying to find my NVGs or my rifle. I needed to make a massive loop from Texas all along the coast all the way up to Canada in less than a week. Even then, I might not lose it. The tight curve in the canyon came out of nowhere. I didn't have time to slow down, much less stop. I hit the worm's second trap, and it sent me and my truck tumbling down the side of the road 10 feet into the bottom of the canyon. My truck was now lying on the driver's side door. Stupid mistake. I knew that the second trap was there. After crawling through my truck, gathering a few things, laptop, camera, bottle of water, I climbed out and sat on the driver's side door. The mechanic's truck wouldn't make it over the first obstacle, even if I managed to hotwire it. I slid off my truck and slowly climbed back up the road. Slowly, I walked out of the canyon. If I was lucky, there might be a tractor or something in one of those barns at the foot of the mountain. I doubted it would help. By the time I rolled into town, the Rocky Mountain Horror would be in the valley, if it wasn't already. And that's the end of chapter 22. That's a fun transition.
Charming.
Hey guys, what'd you think?
It
Was-
got really suspenseful.
Was the scarecrow using a shovel, or were there just enough maggots to make shovel sounds?
No, it had tools.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was using the scythe. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
it had the scythe, right?
It was shinking.
Shink, shink, shink. Yep. And then all the other little maggots would take the big chunks of earth and break it down.
Yeah.
Isn't that a cool monster?
That's a fun monster.
Kind of.
It is a fun monster.
Kinda-
What is it with you and bug things?
Isn't that
Well,
a great monster?
Bug
It
things are
creeps
great
people
monsters.
out, so it works.
There's a specific phobia for that, and I get it.
So good. That
It's a fun
monster's
one.
mine. People better not steal it.
Yeah, this has definitely never been done before.
The Wormeye. Yeah, probably it's been done before, do you think?
A scarecrow that's piloted by worms or maggots.
Yeah.
I think that's possible that has happened in another story or setting. Maybe not how you have it set up specifically, right? Like with you have the queen larva.
There's
maggot.
the most similar I can think is from Beyonders.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There's the worms in Beyonders
Yeah, the zombies.
that enter your skin and make you a zombie, but it's a little
Yeah.
bit different.
Yeah. Those are actually slightly more friendly.
Yes. They're slightly more friendly and slightly more terrified because of the plague.
Yes, because of the plague.
But on a global scale, they're more scary. From an individual like talking, not as scary.
Yeah. Well, once it became global, then that's everyone's problem, and it's kind of
Once
it becomes
everybody's
it
a
is
worm
what
man.
it is.
No one will be.
I like the idea of thinking that there's probably more than one of the big ones. Like, there's no way there isn't.
Yeah, well, how do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, is this?
Yeah. No, that's a fun thought of
It's
definitely
terrified.
did not totally resolve that.
Yep. Yeah, it's scary. There's more out there.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite monsters I've made up.
Does it have a
It's a
name?
monster.
Yeah.
I should name
Has
it.
its
I don't know what to
name.
call it. I
Gross
should call it
wormy
something.
guy.
Wormbulance.
Wormbulance? That doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
No,
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 it
no,
doesn't.
no, no, no. In all seriousness, like,
It's the scare
I guess
person.
you'd have something cool.
It's the scare person.
Well, I don't. What I don't have.
Airworm.
no,
All
it
right,
doesn't
so
sca-
what
it
I've
is a
got
worm.
here is just the fact that it's in a canyon in Utah. Kind of similar to the Rocky Mountain Horror, right?
The Utah
No,
the
Rocky
Canyon
Mountain
Wiggler.
Horror is like a giant
Yeah, no,
skinny guy
I get
that
that.
eats people.
Yeah. So.
But its naming convention could be the same as the Rocky Mountain Horror.
Oh, I got Utah Canyon
What's
Wiggler.
the canyon called? Oh, that's great.
Utah Canyon Wiggler.
Just the Utah
That's
Wiggler.
pretty good.
The Utah Wiggler. sounds like a jitterbug team or a type of vehicle.
Utah Wiggler.
The Utah Wiggler.
Sure, we'll go with that. The Utah Wiggler. It's good enough.
Get in the comments below if you think that idea was dumb. It'll
Or
be
the Utah Crawler.
the Utah Crawler.
I know.
The Utah Rubber Ball of Doom.
Well, now
It
you're
really
just
needs
losing
its
it.
own book. It's
It'll
great.
It'll get its own book. It'll be a story about a kid.
Well, where's the canyon that
Yeah, what's the canyon called? I don't remember what I called it.
I don't know. Where is technician guy had a name for it when he was talking to the guy on the phone?
Yeah, scroll back to that.
Someone cut your tires, knows but you're my trying to get him out. Oh, the Balsam Hollow Wiggler.
That sounds good.
That's
the
good. Balsam.
Balsam Hollow. Yeah.
Balsam Hollow Wiggler.
There we go. The Balsam Hollow Wiggler.
And if there's more of them, you could just call it the Balsam Hollow Colony
Yeah,
Yeah.
Balsam Hollow Hive Colony.
or Hive. Yeah.
The Balsam Hollow Buggers. Those are good. Those are good ones. Oh, I didn't even
I
notice.
pride myself on giving people ideas for things I cannot achieve.
No, you did great, Brandon. I really
Those are good.
appreciate that. Now everyone can know.
Cano.
Oh,
You're watching our creative
Yeah.
process live.
live. Give me more of your good ideas.
Brandon. Wasn't that,
The
a gr-
fa-
wasn't that a great idea that the infamous story came up with, Brandon? Right, Brandon? That was his
Oh, that was
idea,
great.
Brandon.
It was fantastic. Totally original.
Yeah. That's good. That's
If
good,
Anthony
guys.
had $1 for every time he was dragged while he was unconscious, he would have
If he had
he'd
$1
have-
for every cent he lost.
he'd have $2, which isn't much, but a lot considering the cents.
Well, I'm glad you really liked it, Shayla.
That was a fun
It
one.
was good.
I was unsettled. I think visually, like this as a webtoon or
So
video.
descriptively
Would
did
be-
enough. Like you said less, which said more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't try to go too in depth with details, so it was
And the little
really just up to
things,
my
yeah.
imagination,
Mm,
Yep.
and that was
Just-
infinitely more terrifying.
Just gross little wormy creatures.
It's gross little wormy that can bite. That's not fun.
Yeah, they
Oh.
When there, so there was, maybe still is, there's a parasite called a screwworm that does something similar to what those things were doing, and they are creepy little buggers.
Are those the
Yeah.
ones that inhabit praying mantises, or is that something different?
I want to say that's different, but do not quote me on that.
You guys know about the zombie mold or fungus, don't you?
Yeah.
What's the
Dude,
word? What's the word?
Doing a monster based off of fungus would be fun. I guess The Last of Us.
A
did
lot of
the
people
zombie-
do that. A
Could
lot
be-
of people
like,
do fungus
Fungus.
stuff.
But like, I think there's a way to do it where it's maybe not a zombie, maybe something different. No, even
Oh,
then
wait,
it's been-
hold on. Is it called Forticeps or something like that? Cordyceps.
I don't know what it's called,
What type
but
of
it's the
muscle is
ant
that?
disease
How do you work it out?
that the ants get it. It's like in the Amazon.
It's
But
actually
the disease takes over their head and makes them like walk towards the colony of ants to like
Yeah,
to spread
to
the
grow.
disease through it. Yeah.
That's
it's actually I believe used in The Last of Us.
Yeah. The Last of Us
Yeah,
has
it
a
is.
similar type. The
Similar
clickers
disease, yeah. But there is an actual ant disease
that does
that is
that.
actually zombie disease for ants.
And you know that actually makes sense because radiation is usually put hand in hand with zombies, and there's a type of fungus that eats radiation.
That was recently discovered.
pretty
thanks to
recently
Chernobyl,
discovered.
but
I
you
do
know,
think
kind of
that's a
sucky
fun
that happened.
that's a fun correlation or coincidence to match up.
Life will find a way. Or is that the line?
Yeah.
What's the
Are
life
we
line?
done yet?
Are we done
We are
yet?
done yet.
Are we done
We
yet?
are.
Okay.
I'm ending it.
Adios, everyone.
Brandon
Have a
going,
wonderful week.
wait a
Brandon's like,
second.
Brandon's like,
this is a weekday,
you
gosh
have,
darn it.
You...
I have a job.
Something feels wrong here. It's probably the cat using my feet as a hammock in my blanket.
And at that point, are we